Alright, we're going to get my buddy Tony out here in a minute, and I'm going to tell you all a few things. First of all, he has some instructional video out from Chops from Hell, some virtuoso techniques. So you're going to be seeing a lot of that. Hopefully everybody has a handout. If not, we can give you a handout. He's also got tonight for sale Tony Smotherman and Brain Station, Embracing the Spirit. So he's going to be selling those items tonight. Some of the things that Tony has done, he's got an instructional video, which is what I just told you about internationally. So that's pretty happening. He's got also his CD is released internationally. He's distributed worldwide on Guitar 9 Records. His music has been quoted by Queen Elizabeth, Craig Goldie of Dio, Marty Friedman of Megadeth, Scott Stein of Shrapnel Records, Ron Thrall, George Bellis, Greg Howe. He's also played with Rusty Cooley, he has a guitar article every month in Guitar World. He's played with Tim Lindsay. He played with Rosington Collins, Rosington, Skinner for a while, Leonard Skinner, Artemis Fowl, good old Artie of Leonard Skinner, if you don't know. And his new CD is coming out soon called Lost in Time. He's going to be playing some of those tracks. He's also on a couple of tribute CDs that are coming up. One for Ritchie Blackmore, which happens to be one of my favorites. Jimi Hendrix and Sean Lane, which should be out, I believe, in May. And he's also, those are Lion Music in Finland. So, all of that, I will tell you that I've known Tony for a long time. And I have seen him practice for hours. And his playing is a testimony that if you practice hard enough, you can get here. Because we all start at the same place. Where you end up is an effort that you have to put into it. And if you don't put anything into it, you're not going to get anything out of it. But if you put things into it, your heart, your soul, your time, maybe not play video games as much, whatever, you will turn out like Tony, some of the other guys. It just depends on you. So, I have to tell you this, out of all the guitar players I've known over the years, Tony is probably the most humble that I've ever met. And I've known a million guitar players. And for his type of technique, his ability, and if you saw him walking down the street, you would never even mention the fact that he plays guitar. But us who knows him will tell you he's something special. So if you would, let him come in here and give him a big round of applause. Tony Smotherman.
How's everybody doing today? Alright. Okay. Play a track from the new CD. I think that's how we'll start off, and then we'll go through the terrifying guitar licks. See if I get turned on.
everybody. Get this mic situated first. So how many guitar players are in the house today? Oh yeah, house full of guitar players. I'm in trouble because I've been watching every single move I make tonight. Makes me feel really good. Alright, first of all, why don't we give a round of applause to Kurt and Jimmy for putting this thing together. They've really worked hard. These things are not easy to put together, and these guys have shamelessly rearranged their lifestyles to make this thing happen for you guys today. Okay, so I guess we can kind of get right started to it. I prepared these licks for everybody tonight. Even if you're not a guitar player and you're a bass player, or you're a drummer, or whatever else you do, I think, tonight we can talk about music and everybody can kind of discuss certain things, ask questions or whatever and make comments. And we'll go through these licks, and I prepared basically, we're going to kind of take it easy in the beginning here and then we get into the crazy stuff. And we're going to kind of start off with pentatonic scales and stuff like that, some neat things you can do with that scale. And if you're a guitar player, you pretty much have to know a pentatonic scale. That's like the basis of what, of soloing, really. So let me scoot this stand over here and we'll get started. Bet you guys are also wondering what the banjo is doing up front. Anyone plays the banjo too? You see, it's pretty funny. Thanks, man. All right. Let's do it. Okay, the first thing we got here is a pentatonic scale. Obviously, that's a thing you hear guitar players doing all the time. It says some distortion. All right, here we go. Okay, we got a little problem here. Let's see. A little bit of static. Oh, I see what it is. Could you do me a big favor, man? Could you plug that overdrive pedal all the way in? It's stuck halfway out. It makes a horrible sound. Thanks, dude. There we go. Much better. Okay, pentatonic scale. We've seen this before. That when you're playing blues and that kind of music, you see this scale all the time. And that's been used through the 80s a lot, even before then, with guitar players like Jeff Beck, Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, a lot of those kind of guys were using these kind of scales. And if you're a guitar player, really, even if you're not a big fan of blues music or any of that, you really have to be able to kind of use this scale and make music with it. It's a really simple thing, but to make the notes sing and use them in a certain way that's musical is really a challenge. It really is. Bending notes and that type of thing. The second one, the A blues, it's the same thing as a pentatonic, but you see those two notes circled. Those are the notes that I've added to this scale, and it gives more of a bluesier sound. All right, that makes sense pretty much. You know how to use this pentatonic scale. You just have to work with it and bend notes and hit notes, and you don't always have to play fast, Yeah, listen to me with the first song. Disregard the first song that I played. It's really important to play one note at a time type things, like the B.B. King thing. He used a lot of the pentatonic thing. That type of playing is really important too. You got to be able to do that. Okay, we're going to go to the A pentatonic, 3 notes per string. This is pretty fun. Because this is a way, actually did this the other day, I arranged the notes in the, not like it's not been done before, it's been done before, but I arranged the notes on this particular one so that you could use all 3 fingers on your left hand instead of 2, because the traditional pattern, of course, you use 2 fingers. Now, the way I arranged this one is so that you can use 3 fingers and you can still hit the same note, so that means you can play it a little faster. That's pretty cool, and actually you see a little 17 at the end there in parentheses. That's a little tap, actually. Tap the, That's kind of cool. Okay, the next one, the Japanese pentatonic scale. What? Japanese pentatonic scale. This is kind of something crazy. This is actually really a Japanese pentatonic scale. We're taking notes, the scale that they use over there, which is called a Hirojishi scale, which is the next one basically, and kind of rearrange them. And this is a really neat effect to throw in the blues, but don't do it too much because people think you're crazy. Okay, now if you use the scale right, you can really try to mimic. You see those instruments that they use over in those foreign countries are very primitive sometimes, especially like the koto, which would, Japanese instrument. It's really, really primitive. So if you want to recreate some of those sounds, you've got to use your fingers to try to get the nuance, because they don't have these fine tuners and all this good stuff. So you have to kind of bend your finger in to get these sounds. Also in the first track, when I was doing the Indian stuff, I was playing around with that. And that's kind of like what maybe a sitar player would do or something like that, where you get these weird drones. Kind of out of tune for a second, that's how it should be done. So where the frets are huge on these things, I've got one at the house, and the frets are really big, and you can't really jump all over the place, because you've got these massive frets, so you got to be very careful. And the bend, when you have this whole huge fret to bend with, so you can actually pull the string from the top string all the way down to the bottom. It curves all the way to the fret. So it'd be the equivalent if I bent this note right here to hitting this note over here, which you can't do that on a guitar. Just want to break the string. There's no other way. So, anyways, I try to recreate some of that kind of stuff too, aside from the Japanese pentatonic stuff. Okay, which leads me to this next scale, the Hirojishi pentatonic. Okay, let's keep going. We got a lot of stuff here, so let's see if we can get through most of this stuff here. I've done it before, but you have to be very careful, very careful. here is a cool scale. This is a harmonic minor scale. A lot of guys that are into metal out there know what the harmonic minor scale is. Made popular by Yngwie J. Malmsteen. This is a really cool scale. It's got this very Spanishy kind of flavor to it. Scale. You can mess around with that one. The second with the E harmonic minor, same thing, it's just an up and octave. And that's really fun to play with. And one thing I stress to a lot of people is what's really important is that you take a scale when you're playing a scale and you play it on one string. That's really important. That helps your phrasing. That helps you be very musical instead of going straight down, up and down strings. You want to do that too, but for instance, one thing it really helped me out a lot was taking one note and go. It doesn't have to be harmonic minor. It can be any scale. So it could be any scale, but that's really important. When I first started playing guitar and I wanted to, play a melody or something, but I didn't have nobody to jam with, I would use the top string as a drone, and I would do this kind of thing. Turn this on clean real quick. I would take a top string and I'd let it drone like this. All kinds of different scales. And then I came across this cool thing. I said, well, if you got a drone there and use the right scale, you can kind of get this bagpipe kind of sound. Bagpipe's a neat instrument. If it's played wrong, it's really annoying though. So anyway, so I figured out this way to kind of pluck the string right, because it's a wind instrument and you've got to look. I've actually played one about 2 months ago for the first time. It was so cool. You have to blow out all this air into this thing, and it's like face is turning red by this time, and finally you got this chanter going, wah, and it's like if you take a breath off, the thing just diminishes into nothing again. You got to start over. It's horrible, But anyways, I finally got this thing going, and then I was like, wow, that's really cool. So you can get. So it's just kind of neat to experiment with. Listen to a lot of different instruments. Don't just listen to guitar players or any particular instrument. Listen to everything, any kind of music. You really can find a lot in there. Okay, so I guess we're going to go straight to the licks from here. Any questions? Anybody have any questions so far? No? Oh, okay. All right. All right, we're going to go straight to this pentatonic lick, and these are kind of, because I do kind of base what I do right now. I really love technically guitar-oriented music when it's done correctly. There's something very beautiful about it. And a lot of the licks on here are kind of, geared towards that style. But the thing is that if you do them really slow, you don't have to play them fast. A lot of these things are meant to be musical, so you don't have to play them at warp speeds to make them sound really good. You can throw them in blues jams or whatever you're doing. This first one here is the pentatonic thing, and we're actually gonna put all 4 of these together and make up a really cool lick. Check this out. I'm gonna take that simple lick right there, and you have to speed something like this. So that's first one. And lick number 2, it's kind of like the same thing, reversed a little bit. Okay. And the next one's kind of like going straight down this road. One. Anybody familiar with the guitarist Paul Gilbert? He does a lot of this kind of stuff. He does a lot of the pentatonic licks like this. So, first one. Second one. The third one. And the fourth one. Okay, if we turn to the page, we're going to add them all together. Okay, so here goes the lick real slow. Let's try it again. Slow one more time. Let's add it to speed. And it's kind of real bluesy. That was sure all the blues players are playing with. He was like, what the heck, man? It's craziness. Craziness, I tell you. Okay, here goes the next one. Here's the same, remember we were doing the 3 notes per string one. Here's a lick using that. It's a repeat lick. This one is way. That's cool. You mess around with that. Take your time with it. You don't have to play it fast again. That sounds real cool if you were doing that. Something like that. It doesn't have to be crazily fast. Okay, we're doing a lot of the pentatonic stuff now. We're going to get out of that in a second. Dealt with some really different stuff other than that. Next lick is in E. All guitar players are the key of E. It's a 3 notes per string thing again with pentatonic, just like this. So remember, a lot of this is replacing. Stuff going on. You just. Yeah, well, on the way back down, what I do is I add a tap on the 22nd fret. Do that on the next one. For those of you who have 24 frets, on the bottom you can actually use a little thing called T2, T3 tapper. Where actually, instead of doing kind of like the Van Halen, just kind of... First of all, I don't think it's a good idea for anybody to really tap with their first finger. I mean, we do whatever's comfortable for you, but at the same time, it's not efficient to hold the pick and drop it in your hand just to tap. You know, you don't want to do that. I think, you know, you have all these other fingers, why not use them? Middle finger, you know, that works really well. You can have the pick in your hand if you're ready to go picking again after that. And the new thing is the T2, T3 tapping, which kind of got started probably, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years ago by a guitarist named Derek Taylor, and he started doing that a lot. He's from Texas, and he's one of those guys that sat in his room and practiced all day long. But he came up with this really cool technique, and he was actually tapping using the right two fingers. So when he did it, though, you couldn't tell it was tapping. It almost sounded like he had these huge long fingers because the thing he was playing. It didn't sound like he just stopped the guitar. Nothing like that. He was actually... So I really got into that for a while, and I started using these two fingers to try to employ that and try to get that kind of a sound. I'll give you a little example using the T2, T3. And, you know, running down the pentatonic scale doing that. Okay. Alright, let's see what we got here. Oh, open strings. I love open string licks. What I can do, you can kind of move from one side of the neck to the other in very little effort. Using open string, they sound really cool too. I've experimented a lot with them within the last 6 months. I didn't do it too much before. That wasn't really a part of my style, but lately it's been. This is just kind of an idea that's, you know, you can mess around with. When I'm doing open string licks, I actually prefer to use my thumb and my first finger instead of a pick at all. It's got a different tone. When you use a pick and you don't use a pick, you get a completely different sound. You really do. And I like the sound of open string licks without a pick. Anybody Eric Johnson fans in here? Anybody like Eric Johnson? Yeah, he does a lot of that kind of stuff with the intervals and stuff like that. And that's just really cool stuff to get into. So this lick is like this. Get crazy with that. There's a lot of neat stuff you can do with that. Actually, which brings us to the second lick. It's very similar to what I just did right there. You know, just mess around with open strings because you really can't go wrong. If you hit a bad note, you'll know. You'll know right away. So fix it. You got an outline to work with now. So, you know, from there you can take it and do your own thing. So you can go up like the first three, and go back one, and go up three again. Actually, has that kind of a sort of a tapping sound to it. If you get it real smooth, you wouldn't know it was an open string lick. Okay, the next one. These are using intervals of 6, and this is a really cool idea. 6 is if anybody is familiar with the pedal steel guitar, you get a lot of 6s on there. It's tuned to a 6 tune, so you get the. string lick, then you use sixes, and you get this really wild, very melodic sound. Okay, let's see what that lick does. Two third chords in the end there. Tap it off, and let's see if we mess with this a little bit. Okay, that's, something you could probably throw in anywhere. Just mess around with it. That's what this is all about. It's messing around with these licks and taking these ideas and putting them on different, in different places in the neck. You don't always just play them where they're written. That's really important. This next lick, another open string lick here. This is going down thirds. Okay, but I'm using it's kind of like a little country lick. Good in blues and and all that kind of stuff too, if you do it at the right speed. You can do a lot of it's just important to mess with that, just a lot of different stuff, and that's what's really cool about listening to different guitar players. They all have their own take on everything. Some guitar players don't even use open string licks; they do, their own thing. But it's just important to kind of compile all this stuff together and make your own thing out of it. That's what's really cool about it. And you guys want to hear another track off the CD? Yeah. All right. Before I play this, let me explain it. What this is it's kind of my band. We've been practicing a lot lately, actually, and we met a wonderful group of guys, a band called Below Paris, and they've just been amazing. Matter of fact, they're right there. Guitar players, Robert and Mike, and they're just amazing people, and we hooked up with them, and we were able to record this stuff. It's really hard to just go into a studio and record this kind of stuff, because engineers are impatient. They're like, these guys are like into this music, so they receive us with warm and welcome hands, and they allow this stuff to come through. So, anyways, we got a couple tracks here coming off the new CD, and I'm gonna play the second one. So, first thing I'm gonna say is, well, that sounds sort of like the Wizard of Oz, because it is. This thing out of the ability. So anyways, my keyboard player had this warped idea, let's do this really crazy version of the Wizard of Oz. If they have a new Wizard of Oz out, we could be on it, man. They'll put it on there. I'm like, are you crazy, man? Come on, dude. So anyways, we ended up doing it just because it was a really cool idea anyway. So it sounds like, I guess, if you could mix a new version of the Wizard of Oz mixed with the Matrix soundtrack, this is what you're getting. It wasn't the we're off to see the wizard. It was more like those crazy monkeys. You know? Those crazy monkeys are like hopping around and getting crazy, and they're marching. Anyways, that was what it was. It wasn't the beating. What's the deal? This chord. Can you get that chord for me, man? Do something about that chord next time. Let's see here. Alright, oh gosh, screen skipping licks. Okay. Now this is something you really need to be careful with, especially if you're into technical guitar playing. Anybody ever heard of carpal tunnel syndrome? That's what this lick does. It can do. This is just a major scale, believe it or not. But what you're supposed to do with it is pretty crazy. What you're just doing is you're playing down the major scale. Blast everybody out with this lick. Okay, so anyways, yeah, be careful with this lick. You know, if you get, it's pretty painful on the hand, especially when you get it up to speed. But the idea is really simple, you know. Start from the bottom string and skip all the way up to the 6th string and get back to the bottom. So let me try to get it going. And if you're lucky, it should sound something. Something like that. Let me get it up to speed. You can do that with any scale. Matter of fact, the next one on here, the dreaded harmonic minor scale. I forgot to write that on now, actually. It's a harmonic minor scale. Number 11 is. This one's pretty crazy on the tendons too, actually. Because you got a different shape, you're not, just doing these whole step between each finger things. Now you're doing these weird octaving shapes. So let's try this one out. Just try to get it up to speed this one. Next thing is E pentatonic tapping lick. Of course, everybody's familiar, hopefully, with the Eddie Van Halen. Actually, I play it wrong. I don't even do it the right way. I use an open string to make it sound a little more interesting for me, because we hear it so much, you know, these days. But anyways, this is kind of taking the whole tapping thing to a kind of a cool place, because we're taking a pentatonic scale. And this is kind of a neat trick started by a guitar player named Greg Howe. And he takes this lick and he actually taps the finger that taps the note his finger was on. Instead of but you gotta go right under that finger as soon as you pull it off, so it's kind of weird. Do that in any kind of. So it's kind of a neat little thing. But what we did was I arranged this lick so you can go straight down the pentatonic scale, and you know, most blues players would say, "What the heck are you doing, man?" Because it's a really cool sounding lick when you get it up to speed, though. So what we're going to do is just something like this. So it's just taking a simple. So slowly I'm going. One time. Speed. That's kind of a really cool sound. And another thing you can do with that is you can add, because if you see at the end of that, I wrote down, you can also add the flat 5, which is that bluesy. If you add that in there, you get the try that. So that's how you can kind of use that. That's just a neat way you can use that. And before we get to the whole arpeggio thing, because everybody's really into that, I want to discuss a little bit about, you know, we did 2 notes per string, and now we got to 3 notes per string stuff, especially with the tapping. We're still doing 3 notes per string. We want to talk a little bit about 4 notes per string, which is something a little new. Like Derek Taylor, the guy I was talking about, a good friend of mine named Rusty Cooley does this a lot too. He's actually really taking it to a different level right now. And what it is instead of playing 3 notes on every string, because, you know, the 80s we had the fast guitar players come out doing all 3 fingers. and then the licks started getting really fast, you know, especially like Malmsteen was doing. That type of thing, using 3 fingers, and Paul Gilbert's and Greg House, he came out doing that kind of stuff. And now we can approach things a little different. We can use all 4 fingers on our left hand, and we get a completely different sound. For instance, the big exercise in the 80s was the which is really good for your right hand because you want to pick down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up all the time. It's really cool, but you can't really get that much of a speed with that because you're having to do an upstroke on the next string down. So what you can do with the 4 notes per string idea is you can, instead of crossing the next string, use your pinky finger. The alternate picking is going to get a little weird because you're not used to picking 3 notes or 2 notes, so now it's going to get kind of weird, but you can hit warp speeds doing it. A local music store in town had nicknamed this the video game lick, because what it is it's a major with an added second. And when you play it up to this warp speed, it has this sound like Pac-Man or something. It's really funny. But anyways, here's another thing you can do with the 4 notes per string. Really bored and we want to do that all day long. But still, it's still kind of funny. But it's also really good for technique using the all 4 fingers. But alternate picking with 4 fingers. It's actually a pentatonic scale using all 4 fingers. Start using string skipping on top of that, and you get some really wacky. That's a little different than really common. You get some really wacky sounds if you hear it on a recording and say, what the heck is he doing? It's weird. But yeah, you just work on that type of stuff. It's really just kind of cool to explore. And the whole tone scale. That's a really wacky scale. Very airy. You can still hear the notes dissonant. Derek Taylor came out with this tune called "Children That Hate Toys," where he just went crazy with this this T2 T3 thing, doing the whole tone, and it's really insane. And I got in contact with him, and he's a really cool guy. Even though every other word is like F F F. It's just like it's really hard to sit there and have a normal conversation with that. Beep beep beep. Yeah, dude. It's like this small time. Beep beep beep. I'm like, oh, God, dang. I can't understand what you're talking about. I only hear one word coming out, man. That type of thing. He's a really great player. Anyway, so So we come up with this children that hate toys thing, and I'm sure that with me is pretty cool. It's like this. Crazy dissonant stuff, you know, and he was doing a lot of this augmented arpeggios and stuff like that, and you get these really weird kind of sounds. I really enjoy this kind of sound. Or you do diminish like that. So there's just all kinds of stuff. That's why it's really important to not just work on one thing, not just do blues, or not just do this mode or that mode, pentatonic. So just try to mess with it all. There's so much cool stuff in there. All right, on to the arpeggios. Okay, there's a lot of different ways to do them. Here's just a couple examples here on this last page. This first one, you can sweep arpeggios, you can alternate pick them, which is really difficult. You can do string skipping on arpeggios. There's just so many different ways to do it. This first one was kind of like just a beginning thing to get used to. You have a 13 there, which is a tap, but if you just take that out, you get it. You might notice I'm not even picking up at all. When I get going, I don't have to. It kind of just happens, but you can't. So I always added a tap here. It's really cool, kind of cool sounding major 7th arpeggio. It's got a little more futuristic sound than the regular major minor. That's straight down A minor, but you know this is just a little different. That tap and you get this kind of okay, so what I did was that's just the first example. The second one, going through a little thing where we're using it in a musical way. For those of you who don't know what that little symbol is after the arpeggio, it just means repeat. That's what I did with play ball kind of thing. That's just something, you know, kind of cool to play with there. Okay. You got to be musical with these things, just like the picking, just like the legato, you know, using one hand. With all this stuff, you have to try to be tasteful, you know, because it's not music if you don't do it the right way. I mean, because you can really overdo it really easy. So be very careful. Always, bending notes are very important. Bending strings and doing that kind of stuff, and then you can use these techniques to go up to these things and, you know, just try to make it musical. I can't stress that enough, how important that is. Okay, arpeggio. Next arpeggio, 4-string sweeping in B. I've got this idea. I kind of messed it around with it a little bit, changed a couple notes in here, but this is actually from a guitar player in a really amazing guitar player in a band called Freak Kitchen in Sweden named Mattias Eklund. And he came around about 4 or 5 years ago, and I heard him, I was like, that's unreal. He was doing licks that just I've never heard before. I mean, just really cool tapping licks, and his outlook on a lot of the arpeggios and stuff were completely different than what was going on here, what I was hearing from a lot of players that were, coming out doing that style. And he just had some really cool ideas, so I kind of expanded on some of those ideas, and that's what we do as guitar players. We take other people's ideas and try to make them our own and change them around, and they become our style. That's really important. So anyways, he was doing these 4-string arpeggios and in fifths. So here's the idea right here. It's kind of hip, because we're used to doing 4-string sweeping is usually at the bar chord. So but this is a little different. It's easy to phrase with too. You can move around. Here's a really cool idea. This is kind of really sinister sounding. You change the fifth and you get this. Something out of a Twilight Zone movie or something. It's kind of a neat idea to play around with. Just kidding. You can be melodic with these things. You don't have to go into Shredfest to be able to play some of this stuff. What if you're playing a melody? In a way like that, you can use it in a way like that. There's all kinds of stuff. Any questions? Anybody have any questions? No? Nobody has any questions. You guys want to hear another track?
Yeah.
All right. This tune's called Lost in Time, and this is going to be pretty much the title track of the next CD. So we don't have any questions.
Yes.
We'll go ahead and banjo.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let me talk about the banjo for a second, and I'll do it. Okay, so I grew up in Middleburg. And okay, you go around, you know, you have the campfires and everything, and if you can't play flat pick or you can't play the banjo, then you're not cool, you know. So I acquired a banjo a couple years ago, and I really like bluegrass. I love it because the players are amazing and they do some really cool stuff. They use different scales, you know, and it's just really amazing. I really enjoy it. I listen to Mark O'Connor and a lot of those bluegrass players in the car all the time. The violin, the banjo, the whole thing is just awesome to me. So anyway, the fiddle. So anyways, so I got the banjo, and all of a sudden my weird exotic influences started coming out, and I was starting to play Indian music on it. Really obscure, strange stuff, and I'll show you, let's see. Oh, it's a Dean banjo here. This is a guitar that I'm playing. It feels amazing. Okay, so anyways, you know, looking down south here. The whole country thing. So anyways, I said, well, shoot, this thing's tuning up in G. And it is, you know, kind of in this, it's got this russiphonic, you know, sound, so you can mimic a lot of different instruments, yeah. Like a bouzouki, you know, like a Greek bouzouki. Anyway, so started messing around with just weird stuff like that, you know, and trying to do Indian ragas and so anyways, you know, and I said, well, I started messing around with it a little bit, and I was trying to do the whole tapping thing, you know, just mess around with that. Anyways, so, you know, it's just kind of fun. I like the banjo, but I was also going to play a little acoustic for you guys tonight and do one or two little original tunes. And you got an idea. I play a lot of open tuning acoustic guitar, and that's really a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing that too. And I think we're going to go ahead and do one and take it from there. So no questions at all, huh? No questions at all. I guess
Imagine a
there's an
third
acoustic
grade math
electric
student
lady.
asking Einstein a question.
I'm sorry?
Imagine a third grade math student asking Einstein a question.
Oh, I don't know about that. You know.
I'll give it a shot. Oh, that's fine.
Here's another beautiful deep guitar. Okay. Right. Okay. Let's see if we can get this thing into good. Alright, I'm gonna put this in Dad Gad tuning. It's a tuning I really like. really happy with tuna. A what? No, actually, you're pretty close. Believe it or not. I heard the story. Some guitarist went to some Middle Eastern country and was playing with an oud player and the Middle Eastern guitar. And he started jamming, and he was playing like an acoustic guitar or something. So he tuned it a weird way so he could actually jam with these guys, because they were using some weird tuning. Little tune I wrote in the Dad Guide tune. Actually, this tune's on the first CD. I really like Celtic music and that kind of stuff too, besides the classical stuff and the Indian stuff. And I really like Celtic kind of stuff, I guess. And this is the newest one that I wrote, and the Dad Got Tuning Again. So I guess this would be considered Celtic music. A little upbeat though. What's that called? Actually, that song has no name. Yet.
Put it on an album.
Yeah, it's coming up soon. I want to do a whole acoustic album sometime soon. I think that would be really cool. Much that I love electric guitar, there's a certain beauty about acoustic guitar that you can't get on electric guitar and vice versa.
Flamenco.
What's that?
Flamenco.
Flamenco. Oh, well.
Flamenco. And that guy.
And Dad get. Oh. Trip to me tonight.
No, it's out. Go to the test.
Sorry, excuse me. This thing too much. So I studied classical guitar for a long time, real quick. Yeah, we're getting there. Studied classical guitar for a long time, and I really love the music of Bach and Beethoven and all those guys. Were just really incredible. That's kind of like what that's all I did for a long time, is play nylon string guitar. And I'm really into those guys and the Bach Lude suites and all that stuff. And I don't know, I might attempt to play one if I can pull it off. It's one of the ones I worked really hard on, and this song was really important because it was like right about that time I was taking classical guitar lessons. I told the instructor I really wanted to learn it, and he goes, "No, you got to learn how to read music first." And I said, "Man, I just love the way that sounds." And I knew like a couple chords, and every time I'd come to class, I'd ask him to play it before we even got started. So he'd do this thing, and I'd go home and work on it for hours trying to get that same sound. And all I'd do was the A minor chord. I'd do it over and over again. He's got to show me the rest of that. So finally I prodded him one day, and I just begged and I wouldn't shut up and I wouldn't stop, and he finally said, all right, I'll tab it out. So he did, and it was really cool because I sat and worked on it for hours and hours a day until I could get it down, and it's a really beautiful piece of music. It's by Johann Sebastian Bach. It's Lude Suite number 13 in E minor. It goes like this. Bach's music because it was very mathematical, and I think that's why when I picked up electric guitar, it was him and Jimi Hendrix, believe it or not, their mix that really inspired me. It was Jimi Hendrix, the way he played the blues and all that good stuff, and the way Bach's music was mathematical. There was something very incredible about the mathematics of Bach's music. So that's that was something that really inspired me because they're, you know, all his tunes are pretty. Counterpoint, a lot of counterpoint and that kind of stuff, and rock guitarists came in and started, you know, using a lot of it. There was the Italian composers, Spanish composers; they were all amazing. One of them that's really cool, Carulli, do this song every once in a while. It's a really cool tune. Check this out. It's actually Italian. Questions because we were like really running way out of time. No questions. Nobody has anything to add. Yes, Jim.
Yeah, Tony, can you explain how many years you've been playing and how you would spend your time practicing?
Absolutely. I think it's a good question because we all have to have some kind of practice regimen of some sort. We want to improve our skills. I think when I first started playing, I wasn't very serious about it. I learned a couple chords and whatnot, and I was stuck on G chord, and I used to call my friend up all the time on the phone and say, hey man, what were the frets? And he'd tell me, and he'd start to get really aggravated with me after like 10 times. I'd call him up every day. I mean, I had to do the G chord, 3rd fret, 6th string, 5th fret, 3rd, you know, so anyways, he got really frustrated. I was like, man, I got to find out how to play this chord. So anyways, that's where it all started, and I didn't get really serious into the heavy practicing until I heard Jimi Hendrix, and that really did it. So I practiced doing the chord thing, and then for a long time, and I wasn't really getting anywhere. And then I heard Jimi Hendrix's music, and that really kind of took me somewhere with just some of the things he was playing, and the way he approached chords. He had this really R&B kind of. His acoustic is a little more difficult to see. Loved that sound, and that really was inspirational at the time. So I, worked on that, and so I think it's really important for somebody who's really dedicated and want to practice. They really have to have a place to practice because usually we hear cell phones ringing off the hook, and then this and that, and it's too loud, bang, 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 But I really have to set aside. I think first and most importantly, a place to rehearse. That's really important. That nobody's going to disturb you. That's your time alone with your instrument. That's very important. And nobody should disturb that time. And however long it is, a day of half an hour, or an hour, or whatever it is, and you should be completely alone and dedicate to your instrument. And I think practicing and playing are two different things. When you're working on a technique or something, you have to sit there and do something over and over again. It's completely different than just sitting there and playing. So I think it's important to have a good practice regimen. And I myself, I wouldn't suggest some of the things I did because they were wrong. Really, they were wrong. Because when I started playing, my technical ability came kind of easy, and at that point, I I knew I had started guitar pretty late. I was like 16, 17 when I started playing guitar. And I heard I was exposed to all these great players. So what I did was, and I don't suggest anybody do this, but I spent most of the day and the evening practicing before I would eat or sleep, and I started to get really sick. It was turning a little bit of an obsession, the practicing thing, because it was just I was learning a lot of things, and things were coming really easy to me. So I disregarded food and sleep for a number of months, and I got really sick. So I had to get back on track. That was when I first started, and I noticed that if you take if you do the proper thing, you spend your time with your instrument and do it that way, you get more out of it. You really do. You can't slave yourself. You get sick. You'll mess up the muscle rates because you got to think when you're playing an instrument, even if it's not guitar, drums, bass, whatever. Your fingers are making movements they've never made before. These strings are causing your muscles to move that would, in no case, would ever really move, and that's why you have to be very careful about warming up properly and doing the right finger exercises and that kind of stuff. Because if you don't, you can seriously injure yourself, really injure yourself. And I just think it's very important to warm up. And you can do the whole chromatic thing. This is a good warm up. Just go 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have to be that fast either. Don't do it that fast. Down, up, all it. That limits up your fingers and gets you moving. You should never just get up and get ready to play. And even today I've been running around a lot, but usually I would have probably been in the back, warming up for at least an hour, get limbered up, but I didn't today. So other than that, any other question? Yes.
Can you read the music off the grand staff about the same speed you can read the tab? Or
Yeah. Well, it's really important because the thing people get intimidated about reading notes. If you can do your times tables up to 3, you can read notes. It's really once you get used to reading music, it's actually much better than reading the tab. It's more comfortable to read the music than the tab because the notes make more sense on the staff line than they do as numbers. Because the notes you have, you can tab out like these things that I've done here. I can't really express crescendos and these type of things, but with music notation you can, and you can kind of see what you want to do with that. It'll have everything kind of charted out for you. It's like a whole key in a map, but with numbers, it's a completely different story. I think it's very bland, and you can't because these classical musicians come with these violins and they read this music, and you hear the feeling and the emotion that's actually written on the paper. Half of it is, and then half of it has to come from them. Because music has to be written a certain way to employ the music of like Bach or Beethoven and Mozart and all those kind of guys too. Right, absolutely. Any kind of orchestrated classical instrument. So, the answer your question. The answer your question, man. I think it's much better to read music than it is tablets. I did this for ease, of course. Of course, not everybody reads music, and it's really easy to read. By the way, I didn't ask does anybody not know how to read this? Because what it is all it is 6 strings on the guitar, and the numbers represent the frets. So, it even says 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So if you can't catch that, come and see me afterwards. So if there's no more questions, I'm gonna put this guitar on the stand.
Tony, one more question.
yeah, you said something about it being harmful if you play too much. I wanted to show everybody I was living proof.
Guitar solo.
portrait.
All right. Come on, give it up for Tony. Yeah, I'm going to say a couple things real quick about the guitars and whatnot. And also, before I do that, though, I have to say, I've heard a lot of shred guitar players. I've done a lot of clinics with shred guitar players, and most commonly they lack feel, to be quite honest. It's just computerized mumbo jumbo. Tony has got incredible feel. Wouldn't you guys agree to that? I mean, I've never seen a guitar player, I've known Tony all these years, I've never seen a guitar player that plays so many styles so fluently that it seems like he was born doing that. So come on, Tony, give it up for Tony. You guys got a real treat. We're going to get him to sign some autographs and sell some CDs and videos and whatnot. I thank each and every one of you guys for coming out tonight. See a lot of new faces and a lot of old friends. It's really cool to see you. I'm just going to tell you that that's the Dean Exotica FM right here. He played it straight off the wall, which, you know, that's pretty amazing in itself. To be able to come in and just pick a guitar up off the wall, never held it before ever, and to play what he played on it. So that says a lot about the guitar and a lot about Tony. Also, he played a Dean EVO Premium. It's a Czechoslovakian. They make about, I guess, about 100 of these a year. It's handmade in a violin factory. So the guy's kind of playing a violin already. But it's a flame maple top, mother of pearl. Excellent. I mean, you get more tone out of this guitar. I own 3 Les Pauls. I own 3 Gibson Les Pauls. I love Gibson Les Pauls, don't get me wrong. But I could never get the tone out of a Les Paul that I get out of that EVO Premium. It's got split coils. It can sound close to a Strat. It's just amazing. It's an amazing guitar. Also, he played the banjo, which is the Dean Backwoods 5. The Middleburg Special. So these are all Dean instruments, and I have to say I've been around a long time, and I love Dean instruments. I can truthfully tell you I love Dean instruments. I bought some for my kids. I have a few of my own. And the only reason why I don't have more is because I can't afford it right now, because I'm going to buy them. And they are lifers. I mean, a $300 guitar is going to last you a lifetime with Dean. I mean, you can't just do that anymore. You can't go get a $300 guitar and expect for it to last 2 years, much less a lifetime. And to be able to play with the action and the feel and the tone that these guitars have. So I wanted to express that to you. And be on the lookout for Tony Smotherman. Anytime you guys hear of him playing anywhere, you know, get on his website, get on our website, check him out. You know, we need to support each other. And it's nice to hear guitar players again, isn't that right, guys? Yeah. I mean, you know, I have to say, man, for a while there it was anti-guitar as you could get, Nazi guitar, and that sucked. So it's nice to hear some real good guitar playing. Thank you again, Tony. Thank you guys again.